until I was about right when I turned 18 that I had a set of friends that I was kind of getting familiar with. I didn't really know them too well. And I went to go pick up one of my girlfriends, and there was a bunch of people at their house, and they were smoking meth. I kept trying to initially chase that high, and then it became expensive because obviously you have to use more, right? And then it didn't matter how much I was smoking, it didn't do anything, so I changed into using IVs, right? IV user, and that high is completely different. And I think that that is where it completely changed me. I can remember the first time I used it intravenously, I lost my breath. It was like a cold feeling throughout my entire body, and the high was completely different. It was just like floating on a cloud. And you know, $100 a day worth of drugs, you're not going to be able to afford that working at a normal job. I think that played into where like the criminal aspect came into play, and it just completely consumed my entire life. And of course, you know, I'm accountable for my own actions, but a lot of you know, addiction is fueled with crime. In legal issues, I had completely abandoned my family and was kind of like fell off the face of the earth. And that's the thing that I definitely learned the hard way is, you know, stereotypically you think a drug user grows up in a family full of junkies and gang related or living on the streets, or I came from a very great family. My mom was a nurse as I was growing up. My grandparents have a group home in Pueblo. So drugs aren't biased, you know, they can get anybody. I was that girl that they said, oh, it can't happen to her. You know, I grew up doing sports. I did track, I did cheerleading, I did volleyball. I was on the honor roll, I got good grades. And it was probably like, you know, maybe like 9 months that in the beginning of my addiction that I lost everything. I lost my family, my friends. I still had like my vehicle, but I didn't have anybody in my life that was before my addiction. I was in and out of jail probably 9 different times before I was finally incarcerated. I graduated the boot camp program with honors and was released to go home on parole. And that's kind of where my addiction with meth ended. I was definitely sober and trying to find my place back in normal life, but I wasn't really recovering anything about myself. I got married, I had a daughter, and then I found myself in my recovery married to someone who became an addict. And so, although I wasn't using, I was living the life of an addict. Motivation behind my life, I think that they're the most important thing in my life. And although I think you definitely have to be in recovery and make changes for yourself, I think that, you know, it's good to have your children as the motivation behind your own personal self-care. And I think a lot of that is because you want your kids to have a better life. Addicts, athletes, just on Google. And I came in and I kind of just planted myself here. And I had such a strong support system here that called me on my crap, really. And so that's when I began the recovery process. I started using the CrossFit workouts, the curriculum that Addicts Athletes has, and kind of doing some like soul searching on my own. I made some serious decision. I'm divorced now. I have full custody of my children, and I started, you know, reaching out to my peers, and then I started coaching, and now we just contracted in January with the Circle program. So I run the Circle program as well. Before coming to this program, I kind of was in a hard spot in my life because even though I had been sober and I was doing good things with my life, anytime that I tried to find a job that was kind of like respectable other than like waitressing, you know, I was shut down. I didn't feel like I was good enough, and I had been labeled by that. So it wasn't until this program, but before that I had just kind of like given up on trying to find something better in life. And I think that that is a scary area to be into when you don't feel like you're valuable. It's still a struggle, and I have to do a lot of explaining, and I think that I have to work 10 times harder than the average person to try and prove that I'm a good fit for any job. And rightfully so, you know. But it creates a lot of obstacles that kind of never really leave.